This is WGRG 100.5 FM, where we meet the absolute minimum FCC broadcasting standards. It's time to hang on and brace yourself for a community radio program that's frankly indescribable. Let's talk Geneseo. Two guys with nothing better to do on a Friday morning but to talk about our community. Geneseo City Administrator Brandon Meglin and City Alderman Keith Kennett. And yeah, nobody, and I mean nobody, puts the blah in blah, blah, blah like these guys do.
Boy, there's a lot of buttons here, Brandon. You push a button, it's supposed to do something.
Yeah.
Sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't.
Yeah.
But you keep pushing it hard enough, it eventually will work.
I doubt anybody noticed.
Again, we set that low threshold, that low standard of quality, so hey, they're just happy they can hear something.
Right.
That's pretty much, if you can hear us, we consider that a win. That's the motto here on Let's Talk Geneseo every Friday.
Break from the music for a little while, once a week.
Something like that. But welcome, listeners and viewers, to this Friday edition, as always, December, what's the date, 6th?
Today is December the 6th.
The December 6th, 2024 edition of Let's Talk Geneseo. Episode number 40-something. Brandon keeps track. I don't.
Ooh, I want to say 44 or 45 on the podcast archive list on the YouTube page.
Right. So we're coming up on our 50th. We have to have like a celebration or something.
Maybe that'll have to be a live on-site show somewhere.
Somewhere. We'll think about that.
That'll be in, January probably? The 50th?
Not sure when
February, we'll see. With the holidays, I don't know.
Not sure that's, when it will be. But, so, we came up with the idea 50 programs later.
Right.
And again, assuming that we get through the next 5 or 6 and get to 50, but it's been a pretty good run.
Yeah. Minimal FCC violations, only a few thousand in fines thus far. So.
And we were able to finance some of those.
Right.
Low interest rate.
We appreciate our sponsors for that.
Right. We'd like to thank Central Bank for emergency
Hammond
funding
Henry
there.
Hospital, appreciate that.
Right, for the resulting heart attack from the fine.
Yeah, just kidding.
Yeah. Okay. Anyway, with that, but it's definitely winter outside there today. We were just talking about it, but a comfy 16, 17 degrees outside. As you head out, you're going to be scraping your windshield probably a little bit.
Yeah,
too.
It's hitting early this year. It looks like for Christmas walk, which is the most important December weekend for it to be decent out. It's looking pretty good, though.
Yeah.
I think maybe around 40 right now is the forecast for next Saturday.
That's what we're going with.
Yeah.
It's going to be sunny and upper 40s.
Right.
That's our predicted weather.
Zach will magically make it happen. We know he's listening.
Yeah, we do. All right. Well, with that, though, we're, again, welcome to the program. We have two fun and fine guests with us this morning. And, Brandon, we will turn that over to you.
Yep. So this morning we're joined by Katie Orwig from Hammond Henry Hospital, Mike Sigwalt from the Geneseo Atkinson Food Pantry. So we're going to get into a number of things with both of these folks. Mike, appreciate you being here.
Thanks for having me.
First time guest on the program.
Yes, I am.
Yep, so hopefully not the last. Wanted to have Mike in to talk to us about some of the things that we're fortunate here in Geneseo to have a food pantry to serve folks right here in the Geneseo and Atkinson area. So, Mike, if you can, as a first-time guest, we put everybody on the spot a little bit to give us an introduction and tell us a little bit about what brought you to Geneseo and to your role serving the food pantry.
Well, what brought me to Geneseo was my mother. I was born here.
That works.
But in terms of the food pantry, to be completely honest, I didn't want the job. I was retiring. I was going to do a hobby farm, and the director position became open in 2021. And everybody was bugging me to take it. You ought to do it, you ought to do it, you ought to do it. And I said, I don't want it, I don't want it, I don't want it. And so finally I applied just to get people to leave me alone, and they offered the job and I took it, and I've been there ever since.
Nice. So Mike, what's the history of the food pantry here in the Geneseo area? When did it come about, and what's the overall mission there?
It started in 1982 with Grace United Methodist Church, and then it morphed into the Geneseo Ministerial Association. And operated as doing business as under the Geneseo Ministerial Association for many, many years up until about, I want to say 6 years ago, maybe 7. And at that point, the Ministerial Association turned it over into its own 501c3. And so we're independent now, although we're still members of the Geneseo Ministerial Association. And we've been operating for 42 years, 43 now, we're getting into 43 anyway, and have been providing food and clothing. And in these last 3 years since I've been there, we've started introducing more and more programs. We're trying to focus on what can we do that are built around the social determinants of health, which is looking at a person's overall sense of well-being and wellness. So, are they economically secure? Is their neighborhood secure? Is their health okay? We look at a lot of things beyond just handing out food.
Yeah, and before we get into what exactly you guys are doing and what some of the stats are, I guess, can you talk more about what is the state of food insecurity here in the Henry County area and the Geneseo area specifically?
It's surprisingly high, and I think that what's doing that is, I think inflation hurts. I think inflation has hurt a lot of people, and in fact, I would say that what's driving our numbers up, we're up about 8 times from when I started in 2021. Wow. The volumes are up about 8 times. The biggest, I could track the impacts as to why we were having increases. We expanded our hours and did different things to kind of make access to us a little bit easier. But every time there was an inflation hit, our numbers would go up. And so I really, really, really think inflation has a lot to do with it. Food insecurity, you can look at communities like Cambridge and Hillsdale in particular, where they really don't have a pantry, or the pantry is only open like once a month. And they don't have grocery stores. So what's their relief valve? Where can they go? Atkinson and Anawan, they both lost their grocery stores within the last several years. So they're technically food deserts as well. So all of those things contribute. So now, if you live in Atkinson, you have to drive 8 miles to find a grocery store. So it's food insecurity is a problem.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So tell us about, so how does the organization work? Where does funding come from? How do you guys operate and keep things moving there?
The vast majority of our funding, our monetary donations, and our food donations too, come from the community. That was one thing that just floored me when I started. It was that about 85% of our funding at that time was community derived, businesses and individuals and churches and that sort of thing. So it was amazing to me that we didn't operate under more grants. But we don't. So a lot of our funding is community-based. And what a lot of people don't realize is that when you contribute to a food organization, whether it's Feeding America or Riverbend Food Bank or Geneseo Atkinson Food Pantry, the economic multiplier to the community is at least 2 times. So $1 given to a food pantry ultimately results in $2 you given to the community, because you've just given that person that much more spending power, and then they can turn around and go out and purchase an additional item. So that's why we call them blue shelf items, but they're hygiene products and laundry detergent and dish soap and personal hygiene, because they can't buy those things with their SNAP cards. Their SNAP benefits won't pay for those. But we've just stretched their dollar by that $7, $8, $9 bottle of detergent, and they can take that $7, $8, $9 and turn around and reinvest it into the community. Well, in the meantime, we had to go out and buy that $7, $8, $9 bottle from the community somewhere. And so it's actually building the community up. When you donate $1 to the food pantry, you're actually donating a minimum of $2 to the town itself, which I think is kind of a neat stat.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So if How do people use the facility? I mean, there could be people listening or people that know someone who may be in need but may not want to, or it may be a pride thing where they don't want to access the services or something. How does it work if somebody wants to explore services?
Stigma is a big thing. Stigma is a thing that we try really, really hard to knock down. That, you know, if you need some help, come here. We're part of the community. And one of the things that we try to do in our operation is to form a sense of community. And I'll get back to your question, but I have this little anecdote I want to share. Last January, when it was so bitterly cold, it was like crazy cold for about a 2-week stretch. We had a particularly busy day, and there were these 2 guys in our waiting room just sitting there, and I thought, oh my, they haven't been helped yet. So I went out of my office and I went to help them, and I recognized them as usual guests. And I said, have you been helped? They said, we're fine. I said, well, do you need to go get your food or clothing or anything? He said, no. I said, well, what are you doing? And they, we just wanted a cool place to hang out, so we came here. And so they, you know, that sense of community must have rooted with those 2 guys anyway. And they just thought, well, let's go to the food pantry and hang out. So that kind of helped. So at any rate, in order to access our services, you basically just have to show up. Proof of ID or of address is fine. We do not ask for proof of income. There is a form that people have to sign. The state requires that we have this form signed. And in signing that form, you're attesting that you make less than the amount shown at the top of the page, which is currently, for the state of Illinois, less than 300% of the federal poverty guidelines, which would be $21.75 an hour at 40-hour week. I mean, that's a rough, and it changes by number of people in your household, but that's rough guideline. But we never ask for proof of income, and we take people at their word. It used to be a pre-pack situation. We don't anymore. You grab a grocery cart, and it's almost like shopping in a small grocery store. As you're going through, if you decide if you get 20 items and you want 20 boxes of Cheerios and we got them, have at it. You know, it's what you want. And we figured the food is not going to go to waste then because you picked it. And it just makes people feel better that they have that much power. You know, maybe people can't see my fingers, but but just a half inch of dignity, and that's what we try and do, is promote that as much as we possibly can.
So with the holidays coming up, Mike, any special programs or services going around this time of year, or things that people can get involved with to help you guys out? We do this every holiday season, but for Christmas, we'll pick on that since we're in December. We used to have a Christmas basket that we would assemble, and it had meat and about 10 or so items, 9 or 10 items in it that would go towards a holiday meal, the green bean casserole and pumpkin pie mix and on and on and on. And our volumes are up so much that we just couldn't see how are we going to store that many turkeys or hams or whatever. So we worked a deal with both the grocery stores in town and got vouchers from them. And then we set up a wall where people can pick and choose their own holiday basket. So it doesn't count against the total number of food items that they can get. It's just a freebie that we give them every year. And that seems to be a really, really well-received program. Mm-hmm. And so do you need actual volunteers at the pantry? Is that something that you guys seek from the community?
We're constantly seeking volunteers. We run with a core, I want to say, in the neighborhood of 25 volunteers at any given time. I think we're at 37 overall, but month to month it seems to average around 25-ish. And people help people through selecting their food items, you know, keeping track of, are you up to your 20, 30, 40, whatever it's based on family size. We have people working in the clothing room. The clothing room is 100% donated. We don't do anything with that in terms of monetary spend. And the volunteers are incredibly helpful there. In fact, if we don't have volunteers back there, we have to shut the room down because nobody's there to tend to it. And that's a popular area as well because people can get clothes and shoes and linens and that sort of thing. So yeah, we use a lot of volunteers.
Great. Well, anything else you'd like to share? Else, I know you've got somewhere else to be this morning.
I
so
do have
we'll let you
somewhere
off
else to
the
be
hook,
this
but
Don't know what else it would be.
okay.
And if there was one thing, though, that if there is a listener that would be the most helpful, would it be a monetary donation? Would it be donating time? If somebody wants to help support what you're doing, what's the best way to help?
Monetary is always helpful, because, especially since we are upping our food purchases from the food bank. And the food bank is really, really, really pennies on the dollar. We had purchased, every once in a while, the food bank even surprises us. We had purchased, this is a while back, just a month or so ago, in excess of $1,000 worth of food from them. According to their stats, had we gotten retail, that would have been $5,000 worth of food. And on top of that, they had given us a $750 grant that we didn't expect. So we paid $250 for $5,000 worth of food.
Wow.
By the same token, there's some things that the food bank doesn't have. And so that we do go to Fairway and Walmart and Farm and Fleet and all the businesses in town purchasing those things that we need. So monetary is probably the most powerful. But we're beggars can't be choosers. We're happy to receive volunteers. We're happy to receive monetary donations. We're happy to receive those items that stock our shelves.
And everybody's probably pretty familiar with the location, what have you, but maybe just once again, too, just run through where you're at, how to get a hold of you, your hours, that sort of stuff.
Sure. The street address is 620 West Main Street. So if you head west of town on Route 6 and you see the 66 station on the left, look to the right and you'll see the food pantry as you're heading out of town. Our hours are on Monday, we're open from 9 a.m. to 7 p.m. That was one of the things that we added. I was concerned when I started that we weren't hitting the working poor. So we extended our hours to 7 p.m. on Mondays. Tuesdays and Thursdays we're open 9 to 4, and on Fridays we're open 9 to noon. Wednesdays we're closed, and Friday afternoons we're closed.
All right.
All right. Well, doing a lot of great work out there, and it's a resource to make for the community. So if you need to utilize it or know somebody that does, please share that information. We're pretty blessed generally as a community in Geneseo, much to be thankful for. But by the same token, you don't have to scratch too deep to know there's a lot of people hurting right now too. And again, this is a resource that's there to help.
We've been held up by the food bank and by national organizations as an example of how a pantry should be run. We got involved. We were asked to be involved as part of a study that was put on by Feeding America, and I was working with a graduate student from Virginia Tech who wanted to study how our food pantry was being run. So we were also part of the White House Conference on Hunger and Health, which was back in 2022. So we're doing something right. We're getting some notoriety out there. So if any of the listeners would want to come and just tour the pantry, just stop on in. They don't need an appointment. Just stop in and say, hey, could I get a tour? And we'd be happy to show them around.
All right. Well, thank you, Mike, for being here. Appreciate it. An important service that we have right here in Geneseo. And we'll have you back in to talk about maybe if there's new programs or things that are rolled out or messages you want to get out. Let us know.
We're constantly looking for new things to do.
Yeah. All right. Thank you, Mike.
Thanks, Mike.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Bye-bye.
Take care. All right. Well, we're going to shift our focus now to Miss Katie from Hammond Henry Hospital. Always like having Katie in because, look, she writes her own questions. She even writes her own answers. So, Keith and I can kick back.
We're going to have a donut, a healthy donut.
We just kind of turn this over to here's the Ham and Henry segment.
Would you
for
like
the
me to
quarter.
I could do your voice too, Brandon, if you'd like.
Perfect.
Well, I just like to make sure I'm prepared. Though I'm the foundation manager at the hospital, there's a lot more going on there, and they're not always things that I deal with every day. So I want to make sure if I'm talking about them, I've got my notes, so I cheat a little bit. But we want to make sure we've got the correct information.
And we like to give her a hard time, too, because usually when she comes in, there's some kind of emergency situation that happens. Whether it's your car alarm is going off or... I don't know if anything happened last time, but probably.
We're happy to see Katie, but there is a slight sense of dread. What's going to happen?
Well, you never know. It's kind of follows me wherever I go. It's not just here on the radio. So, thank you for having me back. It's always nice to be here with you both. So I do appreciate the opportunity to just give a quick update on what's happening at the hospital. 2024 has been a year of new service lines, new providers there at the hospital. So just giving a quick overview of those that have joined us. We had Dr. James Schreier begin here in November, and he's a general surgeon. And among the regular players of general surgery, like colonoscopies and appendectomies, he also does breast biopsies and mastectomies, which is something different for us. Those are emotional things to have to go through for a person. So having that care right here at home, and you can have your family close by through the recovery, through all those processes, kind of eases a little bit of that stress. However little, to be able to just be here in town, to be able to receive those services is something we're glad to offer, and we're glad that he's joined our team. We've also stepped into a new service line of chiropractic care at the hospital, and that's something that a lot of people seek, chiropractic care, but they don't always have that connection with their primary care provider. So providing that at the hospital will give some oversight to all those healthcare avenues that a person might seek. So if it's with therapy and a little bit of chiropractic and a little bit of regular historical medicine, then that's nice to be able to have all of those people under one roof, that your primary care provider can have an eye on all of those things. And then if they see success with you, then that's another thing that they can provide to their patients as a suggestion to be able to see. So we've added chiropractor Dr. Owen McConnell, and he begins seeing patients on December 16th, and he is taking patients now for appointments. And then Dr. Allison David will begin with him in the spring. She is just finishing up at Palmer Chiropractic. She's got a lot of good things going for her, so we're glad to have both of them join us. They will be located in the Geneseo Clinic right there on the main hallway. So easy access for all. So we're glad to have both of them. And then as something new in January, we're going to try, we're going to have a Brewing Your Healthcare Knowledge. And it'll be a little once a week coffee with different providers, different service lines that we have at the hospital. More of a conversation. It won't be a presentation, but you're welcome to come, have a little cup of coffee, and see some of the people that work in these areas, and have maybe conversations about what you need or what somebody in your family might need. So we'll focus on 1 week we'll have annual periodic testing. So hopefully we'll have some information about colonoscopies, mammograms, your regular blood tests that you should be getting every year. Another week we'll have the chiropractors come in and speak, and maybe a little bit of rehab, and kind of see how those two might work together. 1 week we'll have our neurologist, Dr. Ahmad, be there to have that conversation of the different services he provides, but then also tap into the sleep side of things and Parkinson's rehab. And then we'll probably do another one on balance and rehab and some of the other services that we offer through the rehab department.
Now, when you said the name of this program, I thought you were going to say it was going to be at Geneseo Brewing Company.
I know. And maybe that's
you
something
piqued Brandon's interest.
we look into for the next time. That's a great idea. I will,
Not as healthy, I guess.
well, Beer's okay
Maybe
once in a while, right?
one.
Once in a
Okay.
while.
Everything in moderation.
Everything in moderation. So, those are the things that we're kind of looking forward to. The dates for those specific Brewing Your Healthcare Knowledge pieces will be announced here shortly. We're just working out the schedules with all of those different people to get them in place at the same time. So, working on that. But we will have those announced on Facebook, as well as there will be flyers all around the hospital as those dates are announced. So.
Nice. So tell us about Mr. Wyatt's been all over your Facebook page recently here. You should have brought him with.
I did intend to, but I believe he's in a deer stand
Oh.
as we speak.
Well, all right. Hey,
So-
just a little notice to any deer listening.
I know. Careful. The breezers are about.
A little chilly for that this morning. Jeez.
Yes, I know, but that's, it's the time of year for those things.
Yeah,
So,
it's hard.
we'll have to get him on another time because
Yeah.
he's another good guest for sure. But Wyatt was named for one of the 4 under 40 for the Illinois Critical Access Hospital Network. We call it ICANN, so I never really call it all those words. So yeah, the Illinois Critical Access Hospital Network. Hammond Henry is a critical access hospital because of its size and our location and our community size. And there's a network of hospitals within the state that we kind of support each other and make sure if you've got questions, they're good people to ask. But as he was named 4 under 40, he's accomplished a lot as he is not quite 40 years old yet. So it was a great honor for him. He has, I think, been a lifer so far at Hammond Henry right out of college. In fact, during his college career, he was there at the hospital as a physical therapy tech assistant. And so he has moved on and through being a physical therapist and the manager of Long-Term Care Living Center. And then he moved into a director position, and now he's the vice president of ancillary services. So he's quite, he's accomplished a lot in his career there at the hospital. So it was nice to have his honor there. But he also he's very modest, and he wants to acknowledge that success is the result of having a great team at Hammond Henry, and notes that the hospital gives all employees opportunities for growth and support to succeed. So
He should run for a political office
he
next.
really could. But no, because we need to keep him.
Well, maybe alderman.
Yeah. Yeah, that's living the dream.
Yeah.
Well, and Hammond Henry, again, it's another one of those resources that we, in some ways we can kind of take for granted in the community, but it's really is an asset to have, and nice to get the recognition and stuff that it gets as well.
Yeah, nice to be noticed, as from the state level and that side of things. So, and with having Mike here from the food pantry, I was here with him probably a couple months ago to do a tour, and that was a really nice experience. They do such neat things there that he didn't even talk about, that you can tell they've put a lot of care and thought into what they provide. So it's nice to have all those people working in all those roles. One of our dietitians, Marcia Worth, is there on occasion to do cooking classes for folks. So she provides a recipe, and then they get to go home with the ingredients, I do believe. So that's kind of a nice thing to have. You might not know exactly what you want to make for dinner, but if you've got somebody showing you what to do and you've got the items right there, it's a little easier to step into some of those roles.
Yeah.
So,
Excellent. Well, thanks for being here, Katie.
yeah, I appreciate
Well,
the
you guys just
opportunity.
raised a bunch of money too, right? With the police department.
We sure did.
Was
yeah.
it the top fundraiser so far?
Well, for that organization, it sure is. So they had a record year. They sold the chances for the beef, half of a cow, I do believe, and we had 500 tickets sold out. And over $3,000 was raised for the Foundation for Women's Health Services. So it was really, really wonderful to have that relationship with the Geneseo Police Department. They are always there for us in October to do something neat, and that was another testament to that. So we had a good time with that.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Excellent. All right. Well, we hear the music, so we're going to start to go into our wrap-up mode here.
Are you going to sing? No.
Yeah, you can just hear some nice Christmas music in the
You're the
background.
singer, right? Come on.
All right.
Me. I'm
Moving
not
on.
quite warmed up.
Yeah, well, thank you, Katie, though, for coming in and
Yeah.
sharing all that, and always happy to have you in. And today everything went smooth. There was no negative thing that happened.
The day's still young,
No?
Keith.
We still got a few more minutes.
Okay, well, that's true. I should know better.
All right. Well, some other stuff going on around town. Keith, did want to make sure we mentioned that today and tomorrow are the last days that the city burn pile will be open. So today will be open until 4 p.m. Take leaves out, yard waste. It's the last opportunity to get rid of those scraps in the yard. Tomorrow is 8 a.m. to noon, and then that will be the last day of the year that will be open. Did also want to mention that today is the last day to register for the community holiday lighting contest. So if you've decorated the exterior of your home and want to sign up, the forms to do that are at City Hall or on cityofgeneseo.com under the news section there. Register your house. We've asked our friends at Inspire Continuing Care to be the judges for the light contest this year. So the more entries, the better. We're going to be going out next Wednesday night from 5 to 7 p.m. We'll have a lead police car, and then they'll have their bus, and we'll tour the displays, and they'll get to judge and pick their favorite ones. So we need more entries. I think we're only at like 5 or 6 yesterday. We'd like to get up to at least 10.
Okay.
So sign your house up.
Yeah, sign up. You have a neighbor that you think they have a great display, suggest they sign up. But yeah, the more contestants, the better.
Top prize is $250 too.
Yeah.
I mean,
That's some pretty
towards
good
your
walking.
electric bill. Yeah.
Good walking around money.
Katie, did you sign up?
Oh,
Well, I don't live here in Geneseo, so you have to drive
All right.
to Atkinson.
nice.
That's true.
But
Okay.
maybe I can just like rent a spot in the park.
Well, what about the Atkinson contest? You didn't sign up for that? Oh, they don't have one. Okay.
It depends. I think we've passed that date.
Yeah. Okay.
But just a good reminder, you do have to be a Geneseo Electric Utility
You have to
customer
be a
sign
customer.
up for the contest. We should
Yeah.
mention those things.
Yeah, we should.
Yeah, other things, of course, next week's show, Zach Sullivan Chamber will be in to talk about all the exciting things happening around the Christmas walk. We'll have a couple other guests in too. Mark will be back with us. So that should be a fun full show next week too. So looking forward to Christmas walk. The tree's been holding up. New city Christmas tree. A lot of wind.
Survived the wind, so that was
Yeah.
it was a good test for it.
We had a 58 mile per hour gust the other night, and thanks to your new camera, we can just it's 10 o'clock at night. I can see how much swaying do we have, or is she still standing? We can check check on the camera, so that's nice.
Yeah, and we have the in front of the house this year. We went with our angel display in front of the house, inflatable angels. And so as I heard the house rumbling through the high winds that night, Kim just took a look out the window to see how things were doing, and 3 of the angels actually learned they could fly. And so a few blocks later, we tracked them down and brought them back home. But yeah, that was some pretty breezy weather we had.
Concrete blocks inside the angels there.
Well, I had them staked down pretty good. The stakes held, but the fabric didn't.
Yeah.
So anyway, with that, but yeah, the town tree did well. So hats off to Public Works and everybody that put a lot of effort into making that happen. Should give a shout out too on it was earlier this week, but had the shop with a cop Christmas program up at Walmart. That's where the police department sponsors children that have in need and go and make kind of a nice evening for them at Walmart. They go with shopping with Santa. They had the fire truck there, and it was kind of a neat thing. I coincidentally happened to be in there for other reasons, and it was just what a nice positive program. And I think the police were having just as much fun as the kids were putting that on. So shout out to everybody involved in making that happen.
Yeah, nice partnership between the fire district and our police department to do that and go out once a year and help some folks out. Mm-hmm. Were you buying more steaks for the angels? That's what you were doing at Walmart.
Anticipating buying some thread to to resew them and that sort of thing.
Yeah.
But, I was in there picking up something. You don't even remember. I was there for a good reason. And should
Personal.
also point out that State Street is open.
Oh, yes.
So did the official drive down it. Very, very nice. Work in progress still a little bit, but you can get a little bit of a sense for what that will be then as it continues down State Street over the next year or two with completion at Ogden Avenue.
Right.
But, it's just nice and while the new road surface and what have you is nice, but the infrastructure underneath that road surface is very nice and good to have that all updated and repaired as needed. So it'll be a nice improvement.
Yep, full replacement, nice and smooth surface. You have goals to get the street open by the first week of December, so that's good. It's open. There's a couple of sidewalk sections that just got too cold, and so they'll pick it back up. But everything connects and getting the equipment out of the area now. So they'll pick that back up in the spring, and we won't have any closures there over the winter. So.
And it's Madrigal season here at the high school. Last night was the Thursday night performance of Madrigal, and then tomorrow night and Saturday we'll wrap things up. But just have some recognition to everyone here on staff that makes that happen, a lot of the parental volunteers and other volunteers that make it happen, but most of all to the students for the hard work that they put into it, but also the talent that they put on display. It was a magical evening last night for the first night of Madrigal here at Geneseo High School.
All right, very good.
And with that, we are going to pull the plugs. We invite you to stay tuned because Justin is in the house. So we'll have a weather update here in a little bit. And Brandon, Katie, thanks as always. And this is WGRG 100.5 FM in Geneseo. Have a great weekend.